Hello there. It's a great honor to consult with you. I'm here to provide a comprehensive consultation on your visual health based on time-tested principles designed to bring clarity back into your life. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're committed to delivering a new video every week in our At-Home Vision Protection series to help you regain bright, healthy eyes. Imagine a day when your vision, your most critical sense, begins to fail. Reading texts, recognizing loved ones' faces, or navigating independently suddenly become difficult, even dangerous. This isn't a distant scenario. In our contemporary screen-dominated environment, millions are facing the risk of irreversible vision loss due to neglecting eye care. Protecting your eyes can no longer be considered secondary. In fact, we are witnessing an alarming increase in vision problems, even among very young people, as their eyes endure relentless strain. You've been given the gift of sight, but you may be unknowingly damaging it daily. However, you don't need to be overly pessimistic. Alongside complex modern treatments, several methods from traditional medical systems developed over centuries are gaining attention for supporting vision health restoration. Many people have reported significant improvements by adopting these habits, including nutritional adjustments, eye exercises, and lifestyle changes. Adhering to this regimen promises a noticeable improvement in vision within just a few weeks. During one consultation, a middle-aged patient looking only slightly over 40 came to see me. He sat down and began to share his concerns in a worried voice. "Doctor, I genuinely don't feel confident about my eyes anymore. I used to be able to read the newspaper and work on a computer for hours, but it's different now. After just a few minutes of reading, my eyes ache and tears flow constantly. The world in front of me is getting blurrier, always feeling like there's a layer of mist covering everything. Especially when driving at night, the headlights are blinding, and I no longer feel confident behind the wheel. I'm only in my early 40s. I'm truly afraid that one day I'll completely lose my sight." These shared words are not uncommon. Many people in their 40s and 50s find themselves in a similar situation. Gradual blurring of vision aching when reading, constant tearing, and especially difficulty seeing clearly at night. This is the result of overworked eyes combined with a modern lifestyle involving excessive screen time, insufficient rest, and little regard for basic eye care principles. If you've also experienced this feeling, leave a comment and watch the entire video for the solution. The important point I always emphasize is this vision loss doesn't always mean it's hopeless. I explained to the patient that the eyes not only reflect visual health, but are also a mirror of the entire body. When the body is fatigued, toxins accumulate and blood circulation is poor, the eyes are the first to suffer. Therefore, to preserve the light in our eyes, we cannot rely solely on eye drops or prescription glasses, but need a holistic care roadmap from daily routines, diet, body detoxification methods to specialized exercises. I will share a specific set of principles. If you follow them correctly, you'll notice your eyes are less strained and clearer within just a few weeks. Therefore, I urgently ask you to watch this video in its entirety, hit the subscribe button, and share it immediately with a relative or friend over 40. A small reminder today could save their eyesight for a lifetime. In the next section, I will detail the core principles for restoring and maintaining visual health, helping your eyes improve not just in the short term, but also remain healthy in the long run. Principle 1: the restorative power of natural light. Our eyes are designed to work in harmony with the natural light cycle. However, in the modern environment dominated by computer and phone screens, our eyes have been isolated from their most valuable and ancient tonic, sunlight. Natural light, especially the gentle light at sunrise and sunset, is more than just illumination. It nourishes the retina, helps the eyes relax after long hours of strain, preserves the clarity of vision, and is a crucial factor in slowing down age-related degeneration. 1. How to safely practice eye sunbathing. This is a simple yet incredibly effective method, also known as safe sun gazing. Choose sunrise approximately the first hour after the sun rises, or sunset approximately the last hour before the sun sets. These are the times when the light is gentlest with the lowest intensity of high-energy UV and blue light. Start by practicing for only 1 minute, then gradually increase to a maximum of 5 minutes as your eyes adjust. Eyes are like muscles. Overtraining at the start will cause strain. The key is not to stare directly at the center of the sun. You only need to direct your gaze toward the gentle light surrounding it, or close your eyes to feel the warmth and light penetrating your eyelids. Immediately after practicing, perform the palming exercise, cupping warm hands over your eyes. The warmth from your hands helps soothe and regenerate the retina, relaxing the eye muscles after light exposure. Important note: you must absolutely avoid the harsh midday sun. Midday sun contains very high-intensity ultraviolet UV rays and blue light. Staring directly can cause corneal burns, retinal damage, and long-term increases the risk of macular degeneration and cataracts. Remember, late light is like a warm cup of tea, gentle and healthy. The midday sun is like an overdose of strong coffee, potentially harmful to the body. 2. The profound mechanism of impact on vision. Safe exposure to natural light has clear scientific effects on the eyes and body. Accommodation. Muscle regulation. Looking out into the distance under natural light allows the eye's accommodative muscle to relax from the prolonged contracted state when looking closely at a screen, which helps limit eye strain and maintains flexibility. Retinal dopamine stimulation. Natural light stimulates retinal cells to secrete dopamine. This neurotransmitter plays a key role in preventing the eyeball from growing too long. Elongated axial length, a primary cause of myopia and progressive myopia in children and young adults. Biological adjustment. Circadian rhythm. Morning exposure to natural light helps regulate the body's internal biological clock. It balances hormones, boosts daytime serotonin, and indirectly improves nighttime melatonin quality, allowing the eyes to fully recover during sleep. 3. Scientific research evidence. The effects of natural light are not just anecdotal, but widely proven. Myopia prevention, children and youth. A large study by the University of Sydney 2019 showed that children who spent 2 hours outdoors daily reduced their risk of developing myopia by up to 40%. Improved sleep and reduced eye fatigue. Older adults. Harvard Medical School 2018 indicated that older adults exposed to morning natural light for 30 minutes significantly improved sleep and reduced eye fatigue. Slowing eye degeneration. The U.S. National Eye Institute (NEI) 2021 and other studies have demonstrated that regular outdoor natural light exposure helps reduce the risk of age-related macular degeneration (AMD) and slows the rate of vision decline. In summary, the simple act of taking your eyes outdoors into the gentle light at sunrise or sunset helps them relax, regulate better, prevents progressive myopia in young people, and slows degeneration in older adults. This is the first and most fundamental step to protect and restore your vision. Principle 2. Specialized eye exercises. Just like other muscle groups in the body, the 6 extraocular muscles that control eye movement and the ciliary muscle that adjusts the lens's focus need regular exercise to prevent stiffness and fatigue. Eye exercises act as a form of physical therapy, helping your eyes maintain suppleness, flexibility, and optimal accommodative power. Eye movement exercises. Vertical, horizontal. Diagonal, near-far focusing. and the palming technique offer many practical benefits, especially in the modern environment. Reduced eye strain and dry eyes movements stimulate the tear glands, lubricate the eyeball, and reduce tension caused by prolonged screen staring computer vision syndrome. Enhanced accommodation. Keeping the ciliary muscle contracting and relaxing rhythmically, improving the ability to switch focus quickly between near and distant vision. Flexible eye muscles. Preventing the prolonged stiffness of eye muscles, allowing the eyeball to move smoothly and limiting visual nerve strain. Science has proven that these exercises directly impact eye physiology. Near-far focus. This is the most crucial exercise for the ciliary muscle. Alternating between near and far focus causes the ciliary muscle to contract and relax rhythmically, much like a squat for the eyes, which helps improve the lens's elasticity and slows the progression of presbyopia. Multidirectional movements exercises. Moving in the 4 cardinal directions and 2 diagonals help increase blood flow to the extraocular muscles, distribute blood and eye fluids evenly, increase nutrients to the retina, and improve tracking ability. Palming. The technique of cupping warm hands over the eyes has the effect of warming and deeply relaxing the optic nerve. It helps reduce visual strain accumulated after many hours of concentration and supports retinal recovery. The effectiveness of eye exercises has been demonstrated in multiple studies. For digital eye strain computer vision syndrome, a study in the Journal of Optometry 2017 showed that near-far focus exercises significantly reduced symptoms of dry and tired eyes in office workers after only 6 weeks of regular practice. For those with presbyopia, a clinical trial in India 2020 demonstrated that regular eye exercises partially improved near reading ability in people over 40, suggesting an ability to slow the progression of age-related farsightedness. Even in the field of rehabilitation, Clinical Ophthalmology 2009 noted that eye exercises support visual function recovery in patients after surgery or mild traumatic brain injury. You should perform these exercises 1 to 2 times daily, preferably at sunrise or sunset, in a quiet and relaxed state. Vertical movements. Look up, down 10 times. Horizontal movements. Look left, right 10 times. Diagonal movements. Look along the 2 diagonal lines 10 times each. Near-far focus. Hold a finger 30 centimeters from your eyes. Focus, then move it away. Repeat 10 times. Relaxation palming. Gently cup 2 warmed hands over your eyes for 30 to 60 seconds to relax. These exercises are significant not only physically. In young people, they help the eyes adapt to accommodation, reducing eye strain from long hours of study and work. In older adults, they slow the process of presbyopia, helping to maintain near reading and observation ability. For office workers, they are a remedy for digital eye strain. Looking further, these exercises also resemble a form of meditation for the eyes, helping the mind to focus and relax deeply. Principle 3. The detoxifying power of Triphala for vision. In the system of Indian traditional medicine Ayurveda, there is a herbal formula revered as the nectar of life for its comprehensive detoxifying nourishing abilities, and especially its support for vision. That is, Triphala, the 3 fruits water. Triphala is a mixture of 3 fruits: Amalaki, Indian gooseberry; Bibitaki, Bellaric; Myrobalan, and Haritaki, Chabulik, Myrobalan. Triphala is not just a simple supplement. It acts as a detoxifier, antioxidant, and nourisher for the eyes, both internally and externally. Traditionally using Triphala orally to cleanse the body, and externally as an eye wash helps improve the clarity of the eyes. reduce dryness inflammation, and slow the aging process of the retina. Science has proven that the active ingredients in Triphala offer clear benefits for the eyes. The amalaki component is particularly rich in vitamin C and polyphenols, acting as a powerful antioxidant shield, helping to neutralize free radicals, a leading cause of retinal damage and macular degeneration. Meanwhile, haritaki and bibhitaki contain natural tannin compounds, which have mild anti-inflammatory and antibacterial effects. This is very helpful in supporting conditions like conjunctivitis, allergies, and dry eyes. Furthermore, Triphala helps improve microcirculation. Its active compounds are believed to enhance small blood flow in the tiny capillaries around the eyes, ensuring the retina receives adequate nutrients. This is a crucial mechanism, and some studies even suggest its ability to protect optic nerve cells from oxidative stress, a factor related to glaucoma. The effects of Triphala have been noted in numerous documents. Research in the Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine 2011 showed that Triphala eye wash helped reduce redness, dryness, and the sensation of grittiness in patients with mild conjunctivitis. Other studies also affirm Triphala's antioxidant properties, which have the potential to support the prevention of age-related macular degeneration (AMD) and cataracts, as well as its ability to reduce intraocular pressure in patients with mild glaucoma. To safely apply this therapy at home, you can use Triphala in two ways. For eye wash purposes, external use, soak about a teaspoon of Triphala powder in a glass of water overnight. It is paramount that the next morning you filter the solution thoroughly through a clean cloth or filter paper to ensure all sediment is removed, using only the clear solution for washing your eyes or with a specialized eye cup. Additionally, you can take it as an oral supplement internal use by consuming about 3 to 5 gin of powder daily, about a teaspoon mixed with honey or warm milk in the morning or evening to cleanse the body from within. Important note: you must ensure the Triphala powder is clean and free of impurities. This should only be a supplementary therapy. Never self-administer the eye wash solution for serious eye conditions without consulting an ophthalmologist. Triphala brings clarity to the eyes, both literally and figuratively, clean internally, clear externally. It provides retinal protection from oxidative stress and helps reduce dry eyes, laying the foundation for long-term healthy vision. Principle 4. Cool compress with cucumber potato. After a long day of stressful work, staring at screens, or staying up late, your eyes often become puffy, tired, and red. The cool compress therapy, using familiar natural ingredients like cucumber or potato slices, is not just a beauty secret, but also a traditional health method that helps the eyes to be soothed and recover quickly. Cool compresses play a crucial role in calming puffiness, fatigue, eye redness, and providing a deep sense of relaxation, helping to reduce visual nerve strain. When the cool temperature acts upon the skin around the eyes, it helps to constrict superficial blood vessels, thereby reducing swelling and mild inflammation in the eyelids. This action simultaneously enhances microcirculation around the eyes after the compress is removed, helping to deliver oxygen and nutrients better to the cornea and retina. The power of these slices doesn't just come from the temperature. Cucumber, containing over 90% water, provides natural hydration to the skin and tissues around the eyes, reducing dryness and burning. Raw potatoes also contain enzymes and vitamins that help reduce oxidative damage to cells. When periorbital swelling and dark circles are controlled, the pressure on the eye socket and optic nerve is indirectly reduced, helping vision to stabilize. This simple therapy has been researched and proven effective. For instance, a study in the Journal of Clinical Ophthalmology 2013 showed that cool compresses significantly reduced symptoms of dry eye and gritty sensation in patients with blepharitis. Similarly, A study in South Korea 2020 noted that a cool compress for only 10 minutes rapidly reduced symptoms of eye fatigue and temporary blurring in office workers suffering from digital eye strain. Clearly, cool compresses do not directly cure eye diseases, but they are a simple, safe, and effective supportive therapy to reduce the risk of vision decline due to prolonged eye strain. Performing this therapy is very simple. Just wash the ingredient fresh cucumber or raw potato clean cut into thin slices and chill them in the refrigerator for a few minutes. Then close your eyes and gently place the cool slices on your eyelids for about 10 to 12 minutes per session, or 2 times daily when your eyes feel tired, heavy, or puffy. While compressing, lie down, relax, and breathe deeply so your eye muscles can fully rest. Absolute safety note. You must not apply the compress directly if there are open wounds or severe inflammation around the eyes, and you must always clean the ingredients before use to avoid bacteria that could cause conjunctivitis. In summary, a cool compress with cucumber or potato is a natural therapy that helps the eyes to recover quickly after stress, combats swelling and inflammation, supports sleep, and indirectly maintains bright, healthy vision. It is especially useful for office workers and older adults who frequently experience eye fatigue and heavy eyelids. Principle 5. Herbal mixture for vision recovery. Besides the daily diet, traditional medicine also preserves herbal combination formulas aimed at increasing nutrient absorption and providing specific protective effects for the eyes. The formula mentioned here is a combination of 4 familiar kitchen ingredients: fennel almonds, rock sugar mishri, and black pepper. Each component in this mixture plays a significant role according to both traditional and modern science. Fennel is often called the herb for the eyes in Ayurveda for its ability to brighten vision. It is rich in antioxidants like flavonoids and vitamin C, which help protect retinal cells from free radical damage. Studies such as the Journal of Food Science 2011 have confirmed that fennel seed extract has strong antioxidant activity, protecting eye cells from stress. Almonds are an abundant source of vitamin E and healthy fatty acids. Vitamin E has been shown in large studies like AREDS to have the ability to slow the progression of age-related macular degeneration (AMD). Additionally, almonds provide omega-3 and zinc, which play roles in retinal protection. Black pepper contains the active compound piperine, which acts as a catalyst. Phytotherapy research 2018 showed that piperine helps increase the bioavailability and absorption of essential eye nutrients like vitamin A and E. And the anti-inflammatory compounds in pepper can reduce the risk of chronic inflammation. Rock sugar is added primarily to balance the taste and soothe the stomach, according to traditional medical views, thereby supporting nutrient absorption more effectively. This mixture acts as a natural eye tonic drink, rich in antioxidants and essential vitamins for vision. To prepare, you need to lightly roast the fennel seeds and almonds, then grind them along with the rock sugar and black pepper into a fine powder. You should drink a teaspoon of this powder mixture with warm milk or warm water in the morning. This helps to protect the retina against aging thanks to vitamin E and antioxidants. Support slowing the progression of age-related diseases like macular degeneration and cataracts. Increase the absorption of vitamin A, an essential nutrient for clear vision in the dark. Important usage notes. Individuals with diabetes should reduce or eliminate the rock sugar. As pepper can be irritating, do not overuse it. Maximum 10 to 15 grains day. The most crucial point is to always remember this is only a nutritional supplement mixture and cannot replace specialized medical treatment. Although a folk formula, it is supported by modern scientific evidence that each component benefits the eyes, especially useful for older adults at risk of macular degeneration or chronic eye strain. Principle 6. Reduce screen time and protect vision. In an era dominated by computers, smartphones, and tablets, Reducing screen time is not just advice, it is a core vision protection strategy. This principle directly addresses computer vision syndrome, a range of uncomfortable symptoms including eye strain, dryness, blurring, and headaches that affect 50 to 90% of computer users, according to AOA 2021. Screen exposure harms the eyes through several physiological mechanisms. First, when focused on a screen, our blinking rate drops sharply from 15 to 20 times/minute to 5 to 7 times/minute. This reduction causes the tear film to evaporate faster, leading to chronic dry eyes and eye strain. Second, blue light from screens with short wavelengths about 400 to 490 nanometers can penetrate deeply into the retina. Prolonged blue light exposure, especially in the evening, creates oxidative stress for retinal pigment epithelial cells. Studies such as those from Harvard Health Publishing 2019 have linked this cellular damage to promoting age-related macular degeneration (AMD). Finally, evening exposure to blue light inhibits melatonin production, disrupting the circadian rhythm and causing difficulty sleeping. Poor quality sleep means the retina and eye muscles do not fully recover, affecting the ability to maintain sustainable vision. Protecting your eyes does not require completely giving up electronic devices, but rather adopting smart and disciplined practices. Time limit and the 20-20-20 rule. Do not work with a screen for more than 2 hours continuously. Take a 5-10 minute break after every 45-60 minutes of work. More importantly, apply the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes spent looking at a screen, look away at an object. 20 feet about 6 meters away for at least 20 seconds. This action allows the eye's accommodative muscle to relax, reducing accommodative spasm. Manage evening light. Turn off screens after 9 p.m. or at least use night mode to filter out blue light. This prevents the body from inhibiting melatonin, helping you get deeper sleep, a key factor for better eye recovery. Device adjustment. Ensure screen brightness is moderate, avoiding reflections that cause glare. The ideal distance from eyes to screen is about 50 to 70 centimeters, and the screen should be positioned at or slightly below eye level. Use blue light filtering glasses. For those who must work long hours in front of a computer, using glasses with a blue light filter coating is a useful supportive measure to reduce the intensity of harmful light exposure. In summary, reducing screen time is not just about resting. It is a lifelong strategy for retinal and vision protection. In the short term, it helps reduce dry eyes, eye strain, and temporary blurring. In the long term, it lowers the risk of AMD and other age-related eye problems. This is the least expensive yet most effective habit to preserve eyesight in the digital age, especially important for older adults. I hope you have gained useful knowledge from this comprehensive consultation. I encourage you to start applying these principles today to protect your vision. Thank you for spending your valuable time watching until the end of the video. I wish you and your family always maintain bright, clear eyes, a peaceful spirit, and excellent health. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you receive new secrets to protect your eyes and heart every week. Please share this video with relatives over 40. A small action today can save a lifetime of sight. Finally, leave a comment about the symptom you are experiencing: eye strain, blurred vision, or difficulty seeing at night. I will read and respond to every comment.